And welcome back to In the Front Row. My name's Jamie Lee. I'm joined by my friends today, Rashad and John, and we are here to talk all things Cobra Kai Season 6, Part 2. How are we going, fellas?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing great. I'm so excited to talk Cobra Kai because it's been a good week now. So this is going to be completely spoilers. In no particular order, we're just going to talk the whole season, not episode by episode. Because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it just sort of blended in anyway. Like I just watched it all in one big chunk. How about you guys?
That's how I felt though too. I felt like it was like one big huge chunk. Nothing was really missing. Everything was there to the point where it's like, okay, well, I remember this ending cutscene and it jumps right into the cutscene that we left off with. So it's perfect.
Even if you weren't really up to date from like a couple of months back, which is when the last one landed, it gives us that little refresher in episode 1 anyway by rehashing the hiccups that people have. You know, we know that Tory and Robbie are having complications because she's gone to Cobra Kai. We know that Sam and her have complications. So it's sort of, and Johnny and Daniel are just constantly bickering at each other. So yeah, they give us that little refresher there.
Right.
What did you guys think of the actual Sekai Takai?
I just wish that they would actually did something like on the Karate Kid 1 where it showed different competitors competing instead of just being focused on Cobra Kai and on Miyagi Do. I wanted to see other competitors competing into that number 1 spot, and then you also have Cobra Kai and Miyagi going at it too. So that's maybe a little small of a nitpick, but other than that, though, I thought it was really good.
Rashad?
No, well, shit, I felt kind of the opposite because
I was thinking the
I,
opposite.
yeah, I'm like, nah, I liked all the new competitors, man. Like you had
Me
the
too.
Brazilian team. The Brazilian
Yeah.
team I thought was cool. You had the Brazilian version of Hawk. And of course Axel, who's like karate Ivan Drago. You know, every time I saw that kid, I was like, there's no way this kid's a teenager. He is the son of Ivan Drago.
Mhm. That's the
And the
first thing I
Russian
thought of.
team. Yeah, the Iron Dragons. The new competitors I thought were really good. The Sekai Takai itself was like, you remember that show American Gladiators from back in the day? I don't know if you're
Oh
old enough to
yeah,
remember that show.
I didn't
I
watch
Yeah,
it.
remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the Kumite from Bloodsport with American Gladiators, like
Hmm.
on steroids. So like all the competitions and stuff, I thought all that stuff was dope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
thought
stuff
that
I
yeah, the
like.
Sekai Takai was on point.
Yeah, same here. I think that they did a really good job of spacing it out. Like we got the lead up to that where the Korean Cobra Kai were challenging the other dojos to that kick off, you know, who's the better dojo and things like that. So you got to see a few of the different dojos there in the lead up before we actually got into the tournament. And then the tournament itself, I thought was fantastic. You know, we had so many challenges with team challenges and the podium, you know, they knocked them off the podium and things like that. And yeah, I just thought it was mostly about teamwork, whereas before it was sort of who can be the best in the dojo, whereas this was all about them coming together. And what we saw at the start was that they couldn't do that. Everybody was struggling, whether it was Devon with her own issues or Robbie with these distractions with Tory. You know, that was just disappointing, wasn't it? I was like,
Yeah.
Damn,
Robbie's
Robbie.
killing it. Like, you've got this. You're practically beating Quan right now. And then you look over to Tory, like, come on, dude. Come on. Focus. Focus.
You know what? I said this in another live stream with Mike. I said when Robbie dials in and he's focused, he can pretty much beat anybody, including Miguel. Who
Hmm.
I think Miguel is a better fighter, but Robbie, like when he has that look, like you ain't stopping that dude. But to his detriment, he always gets distracted, and that's his downfall every single time. If you look at like his whole journey on the show, every single time, every single fight he's lost is because he just always gets distracted so easily. It's like, bro, snap out of it.
I
Yeah.
felt the same way though too. I mean, I felt like, Robbie to me is a great competitor, but he's also very distracted. And I also felt
Mhm.
like he was just getting on my nerves this season. Because I'm like, dude, you need to focus. You need to keep doing what you're doing. And I like how Miguel's like, look, watch how it's done. And
Yeah,
he winds up kicking all their asses off that thing that turns into like a Squid Game kind of style of karate
Yeah.
yeah,
competition, which is what I love.
yeah.
The
I love that
platform.
whole entire thing. I
Yeah,
love the
that was
platform.
cool.
Yeah.
I really liked seeing, as we talked about, like the other dojos, but I also liked seeing it not be Cobra Kai versus Miyagi Do all the time.
Yep.
Like we got to see some other teams completely kick Miyagi Do's ass, and that was really good because I thought that they wouldn't do that. I thought it would all be like praising Miyagi Do or Cobra Kai versus Miyagi Do the whole time, but bringing those other dojos in and having Miyagi Do literally get their ass kicked, it was quite refreshing. It was like, see, you're not the best of the best. You need to put in the work, you know, and you need to, as we said, stay focused and use both Johnny and Daniel's techniques in order to get the dub. So, yeah, I thought that was really well done, the whole Sekai Takai event.
Same.
Yeah.
And what is life like without a few surprises, I think was his quote. And boy, were we wrong. I think you were right, Rashad, because I think you said, are we going to see Terry Silver? We've got to see him in the last chat that we did. And I was like, no, there's no way we can find the time to sort out how he got out of jail and how Kreese got out and all these things. I was like, there's no way we're going to see Terry Silver. And surprise, surprise, here he is in the hot tub, just being Terry Silver.
Yeah, just like in 3, just had the same pose and everything with the cigar.
With the
I'm like, that's
cigar.
straight from Karate Kid 3.
Yeah, I like that touch too. I saw a meme about it today and I was like, wow, that's a really good throwback to have him in that position of power again. You know what I mean? That was really cool to see.
I was fanboying because Terry Silver, for me, is the best Karate Kid villain. Yes, there's some problems or whatever that people don't like part 3. But for me, Terry Silver has layers to him. I love what he's able to do. He's able to pay off certain people to get him out of jail probably, to get him back into the Tai. And then also, too, his last remaining little bit of money that he has, he's going to wrap it up into another dojo after losing the Cobra Kai dojo. I thought it was perfect. I was fanboying. Like, this is everything I wanted. I wanted to see him go after Kreese. I wanted to see how that was going to play out and also how he was going to probably go on ahead and take Daniel out, too. So I like how he's manipulating the whole entire thing to where everybody's distracted. He's like the puppet master. And it's just perfect.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and I called it because when I saw the Iron Dragons, I'm like, okay. It's more of I asked the question. I said, what if Terry Silver is behind the Iron Dragons? And sure enough, that's
and we
what it
all
was.
wrote it off. We were like, no freaking way.
See, I didn't even think that because Dom was thinking, okay, whatever he named it, like the Silver Dragons instead. I'm like, that's too much on the nose for that to be that. For me to see, but for it to be the dragon, I'm like, okay, it's just the dragons. No big deal. Terry's not in this. And then it happens. And I'm like, okay, this is what I came for. But
yeah. And you know what? I think I'm really just so into this show where I defend everything about it. So I was getting into an argument with one of my YouTube peers, Anthony Perez, because he was like, you know, the writing is terrible. I said, bro, it's Cobra Kai, man. Come on, like, dog, this is karate soap opera. He's like, yeah, but the whole thing with Terry Silver getting out of jail. And I said, look, yes, it's ridiculous, okay? You just go with it.
He didn't go to jail, technically. The way that they wrote it was that his lawyer, who is one of the big 3 who created the show, Hayden Schlossberg, he was the actual lawyer. So that was a great cameo thrown in there. But they said something about his testimony didn't hold up because of Stingray or something. So they wrote it out that he didn't even go to jail because of bribing whoever it was, and Stingray didn't hold up or whatnot. The writing is sneaky that they can twist it in a way where we go, who cares?
Yeah, yeah, like it's so good, you just roll with it.
Yeah.
But think of it like this: it's 80s flavor mixed in with 2024 kind of vibes to it. So, of course, you have to suspend disbelief with it. If you're already into 6 seasons of Cobra Kai, you already know the tone of it. You already know what to expect from it. So just go with it and go for the ride that it is, because it already knows the flavor that it wants to be. And to make it something more, you're overthinking the whole entire deal of what you're watching. And it is so good. It works so well.
Yeah.
Dope. And one more thing I'll say, too. Like, one of the main criticisms that really bothers me. And I understand the criticism, but at the same time, it's like, if we didn't have this is kind of like the heart of the show, is the whole banter between Daniel and Johnny. Like, man, I'm so tired of them fighting and then making them a fight. I said, dude, they're Tom and Jerry. That's what they do. You know,
exactly.
You don't watch Tom and Jerry for the kumbaya all the time. You watch Tom and Jerry to see them fight. And that's what Daniel and Johnny are, man. Like, I love to see them going back and forth, fighting and arguing and then making up. And that's their thing, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like brotherhood. You're going to fight with your brother sometimes.
All
You
the
know?
time. All the time.
Right.
They fight all the time. It's like one episode they're friends, the next they're not.
Mhm.
It's so draining, but also good. And the good part about it is that you do get those moments where they are working together and they do
Mhm.
sort of grow as men.
Mhm.
And those moments were when Denny got kidnapped and then returned, and you get that voice message from Johnny who's saying, like, I'm sorry that I fucked up. I'm sorry that I said that stuff. I didn't mean it. I'm a dickhead. You know, and you get those rare moments of, I guess you could say that, John, brotherhood, you know, like seeing
Yeah.
those moments of maturity, even though they can banter over tiny things. Like Johnny was saying, you know, attack, strike first. And Danny's saying the opposite, you know, go slow and step back. So,
Defense.
yeah, they've got
Right. Take your time. Yeah.
differing.
No, don't take your time.
Yeah, that was
Well, even
it. Ease
well,
off.
even
No,
with that one
don't ease
thing.
off.
Well, even that one other scene with Daniel's daughter, whenever you had that narrow kind of thing of knocking someone off, and you have Johnny going, you need to go ahead, just knock them out, strike first. That's it. Because
Right.
no, we don't need to do that. It's narrow. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
So he realizes too, now he needs Daniel for this because
Yeah.
this is Daniel's specialty because of the fact that it's about balance. It's about working together.
Yeah.
It's not just one-sidedness. And that's when he came to realize, oh shit, I'm in over my head. I need somebody else to come in at this point.
Yeah. It is about their balance in relationship too. Like you need that aggressive and defensive mixed in. And I think they do it very well when they're not bickering at each other. The only I guess you could call it downfalls with the writing that I had. There was two scenes, and they're to Rashad's delight to do with Sam. The first one was when she was walking by herself on the beach and she confronts Axel. And I thought, you've just come from the pub. It's really late at night and you're walking home alone with none of the other boys. I get why the parents weren't there because obviously Chozen said, go out and go out hard. But I was just
Right.
like, why is she alone when she could have walked with any of the guys back to the hotel? Or she also had Devon Lee there. So, like, why are you walking the streets at night if these Cobra Kai thugs are so vicious that they can attack you in the street like they did? And then there was a moment when they were at the aquarium scene, which was really beautiful, by the way.
I love the
I
aquarium.
loved the shooting of that, looked really pretty. And Robbie was talking to Tory, and then Sam just randomly comes up. And she's just like loitering around. What are you doing? They're having an intimate moment right now, and you just come and cram their style. Those were the two moments that I was like, oh, "Are you kidding me right now?" That was my only downfall of the whole 5 episodes.
Had to do with Sam LaRusso. Yeah.
Had to do with her, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of complaints about the Danny LaRusso getting kidnapped moment.
I was fine with that because of like, okay, is this going to go into trafficking now to where Daniel's in this pit, in this dog thing? But at the same time, it's like, who's really doing this? Is it really Kreese? Would he actually stoop this low to do this? It's like kind of like a mystery element to it of like, who's doing this? Like Rashad and I said, is 80s flavor. So of course they're going to find a way to get him out of there. And of course we're going to end up expecting a fight between a former Cobra Kai member, and knowing that this guy comes from part 3, that was actually pretty cool too.
Very perfect. Yeah.
I was definitely not expecting to see that guy. I was like, because I'm thinking to myself, who have we not seen from the Karate Kid movies? And I never once thought about that guy because he was just the dude that Daniel beat up real quick in the third movie.
They did mention Snake and things like that and why he wasn't in it. And so I feel like throwing in somebody from Karate Kid 3 was perfect because you've got that scene, as Rashad said, from Karate Kid 3, that scene. So to have somebody from Karate Kid 3 come back, I think it fit perfectly. As I said, they're bringing in these cameos, I guess you could say, like even with the creator was in one of the episodes. You've got Hawk's girlfriend come back into it, things like this. I really am wondering now if we are going to see Julie Pierce, Hilary Swank in the final.
But I think that she declined it. But then again, anything is possible.
I almost can guarantee she's going to be in Karate Kid Legends. She has to be. Because Daniel even planted that seed. I forgot which episode it was where he said that he was Miyagi's first student. So Daniel's still under the impression that he's the only person Miyagi ever taught karate to. So he doesn't even know that Julie even exists. So
actually,
if it's called Karate Kid Legends, she has to be in the movie.
Yeah, she might be in the movie and not the series, but now that you mention it, they did segue that, and it was at the Sekai Takai where they were at the mixer, and he did say something like that, like, "Oh, I'm one of Miyagi Do's first students," and he was trying to sell Miyagi Do, and that was the line that he used, Rashad. So yeah, that could be the tension movie-wise, because we all know that Danny LaRusso doesn't like not knowing things. He likes to
Right.
be in the know.
Yeah.
But I really liked that kidnapping scene, even though, as you say, John, it was a bit like 80s, a bit cheesy. But I thought it was a really good setup for two things, because it showed that Danny is willing to do anything to find out about Mr. Miyagi, and that he realizes that that is actually a bad thing. You know, it's really dangerous and it's pointless. Like, why is he so obsessed with finding out these answers? So I think that was really good to acknowledge. And Amanda even said, so what? You're chasing around Spain because somebody found a piece of information about a headband? You know, like, how dangerous and reckless is that? And it also set up perfectly for the villain, because everybody, well, I thought that it was Kreese. I thought Kreese is behind this. You've got Dennis being thrown back into things, and then to see them walk down that hallway, Kreese included, and see Terry Silver, it was just so mind-blowing. So yeah, it really set up for that moment there, I think, perfectly.
If you think about it, though, who else in the Cobra Kai, of the old school Cobra Kai, would actually be a cameo to help out Silver? We already know Mike Barnes is a good guy now. He's outgrown all this.
He's converted.
Right, he's converted. But
he turned face.
So it's like one kid who could never get over the fact that Daniel whooped his ass. So therefore, Silver winds up getting the one guy that he can actually use. So I thought it was actually pretty neat about how we have a small appearance from part 3, that a character that has never gone over the past.
Which I wish would have been, even though he's passed away, rest in peace, man. But damn, I wish they could have got Dutch, man. Dutch would have been so perfect. But yeah, it was the whole Daniel thing in Miyagi. I was watching another stream where somebody was breaking it down, and so it really made sense to me. So I do see it differently. Miyagi was the father figure that he never had, right? So Mr. Miyagi was like, that was not only his dad, but Miyagi Do is his religion. Like Daniel, everything good that's happened in his life, all his success, everything is because of Miyagi Do. Like, that's been his whole life. That's been his whole mantra, So the fact that that's almost like you practicing a religion all your life, and then you find out that your religion is bullshit. You pray every day, but then you find out the person that you're praying to was, whatever. So that's what Daniel's going through now. Like, wow, like this thing that changed my life, that's been part of my life, that I've used every single day of my life, is all a crock of shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because he built that whole entire dojo around him, and also have the kids now involved. So it's like, oh shit, did I just bring these kids into something that I should not have even brought them into in the first place?
Well, yeah, because Miyagi Do, it helped him win the All Valley. It stopped the kids from bullying him. It brought balance to his life, and that's what he was trying to pass on to the kids. And I think he has a scene where he talks about that with Johnny. It's like, I taught Miyagi Do to bring these kids balance and peace like it brought me, but instead it's been bringing more trouble. It's been bringing more fights. It's been bringing more danger.
Yeah.
Miguel got his back broken because of Miyagi Do. You know what I mean? So it's like, have I been wrong this whole time? Was Miyagi wrong? Yeah, Daniel's he's going through a lot of shit in here, man.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. I'll accept it. Because I was like, oh, please, with the chasing around for Miyagi. I was getting over it. But that does make a lot of sense. I just wish that he would be more understanding of Johnny's side of things then, because Johnny also idolized Kreese for a little bit there, and he was taught Cobra Kai, and his was the opposite. Although Danny got all the highs in life, like Johnny got the lows. So I wish that he could see that perspective as well.
Right.
Speaking of people's perspectives, I really liked how they filmed this. So many fight scenes, they zoomed in on Dimitri fighting, and then you'd have Hawk getting thrown into the crowd. So like just the snapshots of people, and when they were sleeping in the bed, and Devon's tossing and turning because she's dealing with her own guilt, and then you've got Robbie tossing and turning because he wants to talk to Tory, and just the different perspectives that show all of the, you talk about Danny having these things going on in his mind, but all of these kids have some sort of issue that they're facing at the moment, whether it's they're thinking about college, and Miguel thinking of the baby, and just everybody has so much on their mind. So yeah, it was.
And Chozen has Kamiko on his mind.
Oh my gosh. Okumoto or whatever he calls it. Oh my gosh. I was so mad when Chozen came in like that. I was like, why are you guys doing him like this? Like, he's not the joke of this show. And then, Johnny saying that was just hilarious. Oh, this is a Kukumoko or whatever he called it.
Kokomo.
Oh, it was so great. Speaking of Chozen then, let's talk about him. Did we expect him and Sensei Kim to go at it like that? A few times go at it,
I didn't see that coming. But I'm glad it did. I'm glad it happened.
Me too.
Chozen needed that.
Yeah.
I think they both did.
Yeah.
This is such a petty, tiny, stupid girl thing, but her hair's in that tight plait for so long, and it's like so long and beautiful, her hair. So to see it out after they'd just gone at it at the beach, I was like, yes, girl, yes, because she's smoking hot. Like, she's really good looking.
She is. She's beautiful.
Yeah, and I wanted to see her a little bit less uptight, and that was a perfect way to do that. Her and Chozen. Do you think it's going to last, or do you think Kukumo's going to come back on this?
I think he's good. I think him and Rose are going to hook up.
Him and Sensei Kim, you mean?
Yeah, Sensei Kim.
Yeah, I think Kim's a better fit for him just because they both love to fight. They're both rough. They have more in common. You know, Kumiko's real delicate and gentle, and, you know, Chozen's all about, whoosh, fight, Miyago Do, combat.
I'm gonna pull your head out of asses.
This fist.
Yeah. So, Kim, let me tell you something. Kim is a better fit for Chozen, but at the same time, Kim is kind of crazy. Jamie, please don't take offense. You know how I talk.
Here we go. Another woman joke. Yes.
No, it's not. It's not even a woman joke, man. It's facts. Okay. After what happened. Mm-hmm. Kim was the one that said, "Okay, we're gonna keep it strictly professional. Nobody's going to know about this, right? Okay, this will never happen again." And Chozen's on the same page. Chozen's like, okay, fine. What happens in Barcelona stays in Barcelona, okay? The next scene, and they run to Daniel. And Daniel says, hey, what's she doing here? And he says, we ran into each other by mistake. Mistake. What you getting mad for?
There's a difference between keeping it professional and calling it a mistake. He could have said we just bumped into each other. Not she was a mistake.
Well, what does it matter? Like, either way, Daniel doesn't know anything happened between us. So whether I said it's a mistake or not, why you good? Mistake. And Jamie, she took that and ran with it, for the duration of the, you think you're the only girl that had got her heart broken by a boy? What did Chozen didn't do anything?
He was just trying to do what he promised.
Gosh.
I think it was her way of actually trying to get Tory back into the game again. But underneath the surface of it all, I think she still cares for Chozen. I think she's still going to be with him.
Oh, yeah.
It was hurt.
That's why she said mistake. She was hurt by that comment. And when people are hurt, they do silly things. But I also like how Tory bit back at her. Tory said something like, was it worth it? Was you having so much focus on karate your whole entire life? Was it worth losing friends, relationships? And that's when that sort of breakdown, I feel like anyway, came with her actually letting herself go and be with somebody like Chozen, because normally she's so professional and keeps it, as we just said, professional. Right. So that was her sort of letting her guard down and then realizing, that was wrong. That was a mistake. So maybe it came into that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to find excuses because she's my girl.
No. That was actually a really good scene, because even though she said, yeah, it was worth it, but you could see in her face and the tears that was shrunk wrap in her eyes, you could tell that did something to her when Tory asked her that changed something in her, So I think we're going to see an arc in her character because of that.
Yeah. I mean, all of them have, but she sacrificed lots of things in her life. And based off that performance, it looked like relationships being one. Mm-hmm. Speaking of relationships, my Lord, was I getting really emotional, which isn't very hard to do, to be fair. But I was really, really, really tearing up over Miguel and Johnny. When they left to go to Carmen in the hospital, all I kept thinking in the back of my mind was two things. Firstly, they're not going to kill Miguel's mum and the baby. They can't do that. But then I kept thinking, John did want a death. John did want a death. Sure, he wanted one of the students, but this is like a tear breaker. Like, this is a make or break this scene. They could do it if they wanted to. I was
Right.
just hoping that they didn't, and thankfully they didn't. Baby
I was
safe.
praying that I didn't.
I would
Right.
hope so, yeah.
Because I was like, did I jinx this poor woman to die?
And a baby, yeah.
Right.
Horrid, horrible. That's heartbreaking. But thankfully we didn't get that. But the moments that we got there on the plane back, I thought were really hard hitting. How Miguel was talking about how bad of a father Johnny is and how bad he raised Robbie. All those comments really hit home.
That was low blow. You should have said that.
They were really, hurtful. I was getting emotional at that. And then when he went to him and apologized, I just thought, he's grown so much over this show. And I feel like this show has always been about him. Like it's his perspective of the Karate Kid. I really like that we get to see those moments there. And the moment that he had with Devon Lee, like saying, I've had regrets. You know, I don't give a fuck what you do. Come clean, don't come clean. You know, it doesn't bother me, but I'm telling you how I've lived with my downfalls. So those two performances there, beautiful. I thought they were great.
I thought that was great.
Can I tell a quick story? So, so that whole thing with the hospital, right? One thing I like about this show is the endless Rocky references, and I catch every single one of them. So let me tell you how I convinced my son that I'm a genius. So I watched it with my kids, right? And when they were flying to the hospital, automatically I'm thinking Rocky 2. I said, this is going to be a Rocky 2 moment. They're going to get to the hospital. It's going to be a complication, but Karma's going to be okay. She's going to motivate Johnny and Miguel to go back and win, just like when Adrian had the little, issue.
Right.
And she told Rocky, there's only one thing I want you to do, win. And then that Rocky music kicks in. So I told my son, I said, watch. I said, they're going to get to the hospital.
She's going to say,
and then
win.
this is going to happen. This is going to happen, right? So we're sitting back, right? And then it happens. She says, I only want you to do one thing, win. And my son looked at me, he says, how did you know that? I said, son, who you talking to, man? I said, I've seen the Rocky movies I don't know how many times, and this show references Rocky over and over and over again. That's straight from 2. My son thought I was a genius.
Brushing off these ones.
Brushing off, but my daughter who's older, my daughter looks at me, my daughter just says, such a nerd.
Well, at least you got to feel cool for a tiny little minute there while your son was, idolizing you.
My son thinks I'm the greatest, and my daughter thinks I'm the biggest dork there is.
But yeah, all of that was really important because taking Miguel out of the contest, even for that brief amount of time, it gave us that in to get Kenny and Devon to have that sort of makeup session. And another thing that I really loved was Anthony and Kenny's makeup session. I thought that was really grown as well. I love Amanda. I think Amanda can do no wrong. She's really funny, really smart. Doesn't take no shit. And I love how she went there and convinced both the boys to stop this war that they've got going on. I thought that was really great. And yeah, the fact that Anthony, wanted to make himself shit his own pants, I thought that was a really funny touch as well. What about you guys and the Kenny introduction?
I really like the fact that they made up, and he's like, look, in my terms of making up, I'm going to ship my own pants to show my loyalty to you, Kenny, and apologize to you.
If you think about it, Anthony already apologized in season 4 at the All Valley. He came clean, like, look, man, I'm sorry about all that shit I did to you, whatever. So Kenny was the one that really had to mature and, get his head right. But I mean, I understand why he would blame Anthony for doing that, because of their history. But it's like, come on, man, this kid, he's been trying to apologize to you ever since the day you found out you can kick his ass. All right, he's
scared of you.
He's no threat to you anymore, dog. So it was cool to see the makeup, and yeah, Amanda is like the backbone of this show, man. Amanda is such a crucial part of this show and how everything gets resolved.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though Allie came back into the picture, I'm like, man, look, forget Allie, man. You better stay with Amanda.
Yeah. The inclusion of Kenny in the Sekai Takai in the Miyagi team, that was another good thing too, because it also brought some tension. You had everybody sort of believing that, or not believing, but theorizing that he was still to do with Terry Silver, because he'd obviously been at his dojo before. So you had that sort of loyalty battle going on. And that loyalty battle, I think, brought Hawk and Dimitri back together because they had a few little issues going into this as well. So yeah, I think Kenny being included really worked for the whole Sekai Takai and the Miyagi team.
Same.
Dimitri
and
kick rocks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
ahead,
Dimitri.
John.
Yeah, Dimitri's got on my nerves. I was like, look, dude, you're lucky that you're even in this tournament. And because your fighting style is not as good as Kenny's. It's definitely not good as Hawk. It's like mediocre at best. And you're acting like you're the best one on the team when you're not.
I think every single fight that I watched Dimitri in the Sekai Takai, he just got like one hit every time. Like he just
lucky.
get touched straight away and went down.
Right.
He's definitely the weak link of the team. That shit got on my nerves too. Like, so you think Kenny is infiltrating the team for Terry Silver? And the whole thing when they were tagging out, like, no, don't tag Kenny.
Don't tag him.
Kenny.
Yeah.
And it cost him the competition. I'm like, Kenny, can you do me a favor? Can you like chop Dimitri in the throat? Because
exactly.
You know, like this is the biggest karate tournament in the world, right? If you're competing in this competition, you have to have that mindset of, okay, we're here to win. Dimitri from the jump is, oh, we're not going to win. We're going to get killed. You know?
He was
so
like that.
I don't want you on my squad if you're talking like that, man.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have, Kenny should have like swept the leg so that he couldn't do any dancing.
And just go to MIT. Just let him go to MIT.
Go to university, smart boy.
Dude, would you shut the fuck up about MIT?
Right. But, you know, I like how Terry thinks that he is still getting Kenny's head.
Yeah.
In that moment, you realize that Terry does not have any pull on Kenny anymore. After he wins that competition, he flips him off. It shows loyalty behind Miyagi Do, but it's also saying, hey, look, fuck you, Terry. I have leverage over you now. You cannot get in my head. I cannot be touched now.
Yeah.
What happened last time, it's not happening here.
Yeah, it would be a real eye-opener for Terry because most people say yes. Like, look at Sensei Wolf. You know, he just wanted the money. Yes, buy my dojo, give me the money, get me out of debt. And all through Terry's life, he's just had money and power. And for Kenny, he was like, you know, fuck you. Money's not going to work this time.
But
and I thought that was great.
But to play devil's advocate here, if Kenny were to turn heel and join Terry Silver, it almost feels justified because at Kenny's lowest moment, who was there for him? You know, Terry gave him the confidence. He believed in him. He made Kenny a team captain as one of the youngest members of Cobra Kai over Kyler. And he taught him a special move that he didn't teach anybody else. So he took this kid under his wing and gave him what he needed as a sensei and as a father figure. So if Kenny were to turn that route, I wouldn't have been surprised because if you think about Miyagi Do, who in Miyagi Do actually had Kenny's back?
Amanda.
You know,
no one.
Amanda went round. Amanda treated him like a mother figure. Like
yeah.
But as far as in the competition itself, though, as far as the kids go.
Well, you could say the same thing about Tory. That's the whole reason as to why Tory jumped ship to Kreese, because Kreese is the only one who's been there for her. So you could sort of justify both of them. And Tory was 100% right in saying that she wasn't going to get captaincy at Miyagi Do. There's no way it wouldn't be Sam. Like, regardless, it's always going to be his daughter. And when you look at it from that point of view and perspective, which is what this whole show has been about, people's perspectives, I see it. I see why she went to Cobra Kai. I see if she wanted to be that fighter that her mum, you know, to make her mum proud, and if that was her intentions, which has remained the same ever since the end of last season, she wanted to make her mum proud, and that was the only way that she could do it. She can't do it if she's, you know, if Sam LaRusso's on the podium.
But Jamie, you know, okay, so prior to Amanda giving Kenny that speech, who in Miyagi Do, you know what I'm saying? Because Kenny and Anthony had that little flag thing or whatever when Kenny hit him, and then Daniel was sitting there babying Anthony like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you?" Like Sensei Lawrence or Sensei LaRusso, nobody actually coached Kenny, but it was Terry Silver that actually. So if you were to turn heel, would you have understood that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I still feel like he had Robbie. And Robbie could have, like, took him under his wing a little bit, like he did joining him to Cobra Kai to begin with.
But no, even then, though, at that time, Kenny could not even be reached. It was too much on the darkness of everything to the point where you couldn't even reason with him.
I mean, I'm glad he stayed with Miyagi Do. I like Kenny as a face as opposed to a heel because he's actually a good kid, you know. And even his brother Sean was like, "Dude, when do you start talking like that?"
Yeah, this isn't
strike
you.
first, strike hard. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Let's talk about Quan because I loved him. I absolutely loved him. The way that he mocked Miyagi Do, I thought it was so funny because everything that he said, he backed up. You know, like he said he was going to beat them with the kick, he beat them with the kick. He said he was going to beat them on the mat, he beat them on the mat. You know, like I just thought that his Acting was really refreshing to the show. And then the big finale. Holy shit. I did not see that coming at all.
I didn't see that coming at all either.
Yeah.
And I thought that Johnny was going to get in between Kreese just as he's getting ready to stab Silver. And I thought they were going to kill Johnny off.
Okay.
Because of that. Because I've seen that done 100 times where someone winds up, especially whenever it's a father figure that someone looked up to, and then something winds up happening and he gets in the middle of it, he accidentally gets stabbed, he dies. And that's what I was thinking that was going to happen.
I've always said that sacrificial death was always going to be Kreese. Like, I always thought that Kreese would take the blow for Johnny, like as this, you know, he says, I hate you. And, you know, that's the one thing holding him back and all this sort of stuff. But I always thought that he would take like a sacrificial death to save Johnny or Tory. What would have happened had Johnny have kept fighting Terry? Or would Kreese have stepped in?
Kreese wasn't playing around. Kreese, look, the moment he saw Terry Silver again, he was going to jug his ass. There was no doubt about it. It was funny you mentioned Johnny. I thought that Daniel, because the way they were setting it up, how they were slow motion, they would keep going back to Daniel. I thought Daniel was going to get in between Juan and Axel. He was going to get stabbed. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. But if that fight would have continued, Johnny would have beat Terry. And I think Kreese would have helped him. Because even though Kreese had that premonition about being free of Johnny as his weakness, but he still loves Johnny like a son. So I think that they would have teamed up and teamed up on Terry, and then Kreese would have tried to kill him.
Thankfully, we didn't see that because I would like to see what happens with Terry in the future. I'm so curious to see how they're going to do that because there's 5 episodes left, and how do you top that?
These fights need to happen to give me some satisfaction. I want to see Miguel and Axel. Yeah, Robbie and Axel need to finish their fight, which I think Axel will beat him. And then Miguel has to fight Axel because of Sam. I think Sam and Tory need to have one more fight. Tory needs to beat the shit out of Zara. Kreese and Silver need one last fight to the death.
Knocking the teeth out. She's like, I'll take a photo of you. And she's like, yeah, well, I'll take a photo of you next to the mat with all your teeth knocked out. So badass.
That was dope. That was dope. Good. Yeah. And I tell you what, and the chef's kiss, the perfect way to end Cobra Kai, I think the last shot of the show should be this right here, but Daniel and Johnny. One last time on the mat, Rocky 3 style. No newspapers, no press, just you and me. And they circle each other. Then right before they contact, boom, freeze it.
Right, be like this. Hey, Daniel, there's one thing that's been bothering me all these years. That crane kick. Still talk about the crane kick and be like, you know what? We need to redo that match.
You think it's going to end with the crane kick?
Yeah. have Johnny do it this time. Have Johnny
But I love that finale though that you're mentioning, Rashad, because it is Rocky vibes. It is definitely 80s vibes. It's everything that we could want.
Well, we'll have to pitch this to the big 3 to make this final Rocky piece of the puzzle happen.
Listen, I'll cry because that's my all-time favorite movie. So I'll cry like a baby if I seen that. Rocky 3 is my favorite movie of all time. The Karate Kid is my second favorite movie of all time.
I do want to see more of Axel because I feel like we saw a little bit of the Iron Dragons and how deadly they are, but I'd like to see a little bit more because we did touch a little bit on their, I wouldn't say backgrounds, but you could see that he was being abused by Sensei Wolf. Yeah. So I'd like to know like a little bit more, like does he convert to a better dojo or, things like this? Or is he just infatuated with Sam and does he get his ass kicked? Sam again, causing trouble with the boys.
Sam ain't shit.
Causing trouble with the boys. I mean, she took that whole time to sit there and think, poor Miguel's like, why is this guy staring at me? Like, what's this guy's problem? And then she waited right till the end to be like, well, he may have tried to kiss me after I led him on by walking at the beach. Like, girl.
But nothing happened.
Girl.
Nothing happened. Yeah. Listen, somebody should have been right there to whisper in Miguel's ear, hey, bro, your girl's for the streets. And then walk away.
Go on the beach.
Yeah.
Think about it, man. From the very beginning, everything is Sam's fault. I'm going to give you exclusive to a video I'm going to do when this series is over with. Okay,
Sam
the whole rivalry between Johnny and Daniel started why? Because Sam hit Johnny's car. That's how this whole shit started. Robbie and Miguel started beefing. Why? because Sam brought Robbie to a party and didn't tell Miguel about Robbie, and that whole shit started. That's strike two. Then at the season 2, where Sam kissed Miguel and Tory was supposed to be dating him, so now this whole big fight happens. Miguel gets his back broken because of Sam.
Oh, Sam.
All right, everything that happens in this show is because of Sam LaRusso. Dimitri got his arm broken because Sam bitched up. Tell me I'm lying, Jack.
Oh my
He makes
gosh.
good points.
Yeah, and you can't defend it. Like it's true, but you also are like, no, but it's so true. And even now, you know, she's just boy trouble. But anyway, that's okay. If somebody died at the tournament, you can't continue the tournament. Like there's no way that they can just keep going with this. So
no, especially when they knocked out the announcer, they knocked out the referee.
And it was the Russians that did that. I thought that was really funny that it was the Russians that got caught in the drugs. I was like, that's brilliant.
I was thinking that might have been the Irish people. This is before they announced the fact that it was the Russians. I was like, it's got to be the Irish people because they had some really bad kids up inside that thing. They were like really wanting to knock somebody out.
Yeah, they were really off tops.
So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, it's got to be them. But no, it's the Russians. So I'm going to let Rashad talk about that because I know that there's a Rocky reference for that because I'm also thinking the same thing.
Listen, Ivan Drago was a juicer, all right? Ivan Drago from Russia was a steroid user. So it made perfect sense that out of all the kids, the Russians were the ones doing PEDs.
Abusing. Yeah. I just thought that moment was really funny. Everybody went into this all-out brawl, you know? It was just sort of like the Avengers War where everybody's just running from this end and running from this end to meet in the middle. It was great.
Right.
Completely shocked by the ending, completely shocked by seeing Terry Silver. Everything in between I felt like was really, really good. The relationships and how everybody sort of matured and overcome their, I wouldn't say weaknesses, but what they were dealing with. We talked about everybody had something going on in their minds, and the way that everybody overcome that I thought was perfect. So I was really happy with all of it. What about you guys? Any final words?
The only thing I'm thinking of is Kreese has to die, because when I watched the way that ended and Quan fell on that knife, my first thought was, I was like, and I said that to I said, Kreese is the reason why that baby died, man. And I call him a baby because they're all kids.
Yeah.
I said, Kreese is the reason why that baby died, because first, he put that battery in that boy's back to be crazy as he was.
Yeah.
Because Kim was actually trying to somewhat contain him when they were training. And Kreese was like, no, we need that.
Unleash him.
And so he pushed him to be even crazier. So the fact that it was Kreese's knife and Kreese's mentality of, you know, defeat does not exist, because Quan was getting his ass handed to him. He couldn't, like, as much as I love Quan, he couldn't fuck with Axel. Axel was beating the shit out of him. So that's all on Kreese, man. So because now there's a body, he's got to fall. I won't feel any satisfaction unless, you know, unless I see this. But also, Kreese has to die.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking he's going to go to prison too. Because
no more prison. No more. He's faked his own death.
All he's gonna do is escape.
Yeah, no, I'm done with the jail. Everybody gets out of a jail. What's the point of having a freaking jail? Everybody just gets out.
Could you just imagine like a jail cell that's just for Cobra Kai? Like,
just open the door, leave it open.
Just open the door.
And there's the other guys that are arrested in the MCU and stuff. It's like, what about me? You're not part of Cobra Kai. You'll get your chance next time on Disney Plus.
Yeah. The charges were dropped. The charges were dropped. That's the line that they drop all the time. Charges were dropped, guys.
You had a Stingray on your side. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Kreese has got to die. Kreese dies, Cobra Kai dies with him. That's the end of Cobra Kai.
You're right. He is at fault for that. And he did actually say at the very start, Johnny was trying to pitch Miyago Do to, I don't even know what he was, the weapons guy, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he said, this blade is deadly in the wrong hands or in the right ones, you know, and he did keep referring to Quan as being a soldier. You know, you need to be a soldier for Cobra Kai. It would be fitting to see him die, but I feel like I've got a soft spot for Kreese, and people can say that I've got a thing for villains or whatever, but in that I would like to see him die the sacrificial way. Like I would like to see him die for Tory or for Johnny.
Go out heroically.
Yeah, heroically,
right.
Not, I know he's a villain and I know he's bad, but also I want to see that sort of softer side to him. That side that we saw when he was at the shelter and he was having PTSD from war and things like that. So that's what I want to see.
As far as predictions go, I'm not going to predict anyone's going to die this time.
No more.
But
Yeah, we shouldn't ask you to predict the future.
but I will say this. I think that Kreese going out like that, sacrificing himself for Johnny would be the perfect way to go because that father and son dynamic between the two of them and ending with Cobra Kai as the founder dying. As far as the tournament goes and stuff like that, there's no way that you can actually continue the tournament unless you do it without a crowd and do it that way. But still, someone died at your tournament. And it's supposed to be different than the last time that someone fought at that tournament.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see how it links up with Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi accidentally, I'm assuming, killed somebody at the tournament. So I think that somehow the two are going to link in as to what happened back then, as to what will happen now. And
Right.
that's how they'll sort of tie that in, because Denny was having a lot of nightmares about, Mr. Miyagi and like him being just this killer and going out and killing. So I think it'll come to light that that was accidental, and same with this one.
Right.
It was an accident in the end. And it shouldn't have happened, you're right. And it is because Kreese brought a weapon, to a kid's fight. But it'll be interesting to see how they close that off there.
Kind of down for that because I'm playing it in my head now, and that'll be some emotional shit seeing, like you said, Kreese sacrifice himself to save Johnny and then dying in Johnny's arms, and them having that one last moment of, man, I just want you to forgive me, son. I know all the bad shit that I did, but I always
would
loved
love
you as
that.
a son. And then Johnny crying to I forgive you, man. I love you, Sensei. And they just had that last moment before Kreese dies. I could see you, Jamie. I could see you being a big water bag.
Oh, I would be a bucket. I would be a fucking ocean of tears because that's what I want to see. I really do. He can put it off all he wants and say that, Johnny was his weakness. Johnny was the thing that held him back. But Johnny was the one that came to save him in the end, wasn't he? When he was getting his ass kicked by Terry Silver, Johnny came and showed up for him. And that's really all he needed, I think. Somebody to show up in his life, not to show up with money and be like, do this for me. Just a son, as you say. So, I love it. Love it just thinking about it now.
And that's the same way that Kreese showed up for Johnny when Terry Silver beat him, because when Terry Silver and Johnny fought that first time and Silver was going to finish him, Kreese stepped in like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough. They have a love for each other, but a weird, fucked up kind of love. But they do
with
have
Johnny
love
and
for each
Denny.
other.
Yeah, same with Johnny and Denny. They bicker and they fight, but at the end of the day, they're there for the right reasons. For the kids. But we'll do another video anyway as it gets closer and like more spoilery things pop out, like posters and pictures and videos and whatnot. We will do a chat about that and talk about our actual predictions of how it's all going to wrap up. Thank you for joining me, guys. Thanks for jumping on. I really wanted to talk to somebody about Cobra Kai. Waited long enough. We did. That's it from us. Make sure you head to these guys' channels. The link will be in the description. Make sure you give them a sub. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. And we will see you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.